Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June 20th Springdale Airport Commission. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Micah Thomason, Joel Gardner,
Present.
Jim Ulmer,
Present.
Steve Smith, Cameron McCarron,
Here.
Greg Collier.
Here. Okay, so let's move on down to the minutes from last month. Has everyone had a chance to look through those, and are there any questions pertaining to those? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Comments from the audience? Doesn't look like we have anyone here to comment to us. So let's roll right into Daniel.
Good afternoon. Good to see you again. All right, so going into my numbers from this last month, as you can see, we really didn't have a change at all from April to May, about 300 gallons worth. So almost negligible in that regard. So not bad, but not something I would have chosen. Of course, we had a lot of rain and bad weather last month, so that I think if we had had some nicer weeks, we would have probably sold another 8,000 gallons, something like that, another load. And nav gas down 8%, 8,600 gallons. Really, there's not much to say. The only thing I've got is the update for renovations that we're doing. Currently in Hangar 11, we are waiting on AC company to come out and first look at and then redo the ductwork that's in that side of the building, get that operating efficiently, and redo anything that we need to redo over there. After that, we'll be able to do our drywall, insulation, paint, finish, and then we'll start buying furniture and finishing that out and all the utilities that we need. For the upstairs lounge, we've got both rooms are painted. I'm waiting on my trim paint to come in. Trim paint's going to be done Friday or Saturday. Next Wednesday, new carpet's coming in, so old carpet's going out, new carpet's going in. And then later on today, I'm going to go look at new doors for the dividing doors in those rooms so everything matches. Baseboards are getting stained, some are stained, windowsills stained. A lot of the furniture is already purchased in there, so basically as soon as we're done painting, new carpet and baseboards are done, put all the new furniture in, and we'll say have at it. Other than that, we're rocking and rolling. We're staying busy. Operations, at least for the line, really seem to be taking up for the summer. This warmer weather and lack of rain is really pushing a lot. And as long as there's not a whole lot of wind, Cameron's got his guys out there doing as much as they can. I think it was late last week, Angie took a picture of the line. We had 3 full lines of aircraft at one point, sold a good bit of fuel. I think this morning we already sold 1,200 gallons this morning. Just everybody was leaving, so that was great. Yeah, operations going. Still getting customers asking if I've got any more hangar space for large aircraft. So I don't think I've talked about that in recent months, but it is still a desire. I think I've got 6 aircraft, King Airs and Jets, and just different things on my list. So just pass that along. And then the second thing, as you saw, it's in the packet, getting the resolution for the rent fees wrapped up. My only desire is if you guys would come to a final decision on that, that being that I would post the current rent fee amounts so that the customers can see them, but not have the amounts posted or not listed in the amendment to future-proof in case they change. And that's about it.
So Joel, I need your help on this. If we do that, do we need to go back and amend the original?
It would be my opinion, and I'm sure Mr. Cate could weigh in on this, but I think that we would need to go ahead and take the original, do a strike through, either an amendment, ask for a dissolution of the original resolution, because it is run through city council, not just through this commission, and then have the new resolution or the strike through and amended resolution refer specifically to a posted ramp fee structure inside the airport as opposed to having it on the resolution itself. Am I wrong, Mr. Cate? It would be the process for going through the city council to amend a resolution or supersede an existing resolution from like 1902. That's where I believe the original resolution was.
I think we passed it as a commission about 15 years ago.
So if it was only through this commission, then that's where it stays, is in this commission. But I want to make sure that it was only in this commission.
Yeah, I don't have a copy. I thought I did. So regardless, can we go ahead and make a motion to amend the original to say what we want it to say? Or do you need to see it before we do that?
I would have to look and see at the other resolution. I want to make sure there's not some sort of a public hearing required first or advance publication required before you take action.
Okay. We'll wait.
Unless it
One
can
more
wait
month?
till next month.
I mean, that's fine. It's not pressing by any means.
In the meantime, could Daniel go ahead and post the current rating structure?
Was that already had? Sure.
I don't think they've increased by much, if at all, over the last 15 years. I think it's about the same. Maybe a little bit on some aircraft, but I'd have to have them side by side.
Well, sounds like we're getting the cart before the horse. Let's just wait. We'll readdress this down the road.
Sounds good. All right.
So let's go back to Reno. I've got a few questions on that.
Yeah.
When you walk in on the right there where we glassed in, the frosted glass office, that looks really nice.
It does.
The room next to it there, did we find tile for that?
That's a Laura question.
That's a no when she shakes it like that. So what's our plan for the flooring?
Well, find some tile to patch it up and then throw a carpet over and hope nobody notices the slight difference in tile. That's really where we're at. After that, after we've got something down on the flooring, I can put the vending machines in there. But I don't want to roll anything in there before everything, because it needs to be repainted as well.
Do we want carpet in a vending room? Why don't we tear the tile up at the threshold and put new tile in that room?
Make it its own.
Close.
Sure.
I would think that's a pretty minimal investment.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, it's not a large area, so it wouldn't be too much at all.
No, we only need about 4 rows, and that room's 10 feet across, about 4 rows, those are 8-inch tiles. We looked at Lowe's, I looked at this Lowe's, Springdale Lowe's, and Fayetteville Lowe's, and they had something similar, but it wasn't close enough for me, but I don't know if James remembers, I think I heard that maybe it came from M&M Tile. We have 4 new tile, 4 that were left there.
That I found. Sorry.
Oh, Laura's here.
I'm here, I'm talking. We have 4 tiles that are new, so we need about 3 or 4 more. Well, no, if we take out 4 rows, we'll need probably 6 or 8 more. So we don't need a lot.
Maybe even get I don't know what it's called, the rubber back tile. You know what I mean?
No, the vinyl
The
stuff.
vinyl, the strips.
Yeah, that rugged.
You know you're gonna have drinks dropped on that floor. Be easy just to mop it up and be done with it.
Yeah, something durable, because I'm going to be rolling those vending machines over that. I don't want to crack anything. Yeah, because then you could do a transition, like a slightly different color, a color that kind of complements the tile that's in there, but it's it almost makes it its own room and having a different flooring.
Yeah, that vinyl tile, you can just lay on the top of the tile that's there. We just fill that hole up with some mortar. We could go over it.
And then do a transition. Yeah, that'd look clean.
Yeah, let's just plan on that. And if you need us for anything, let us know, but I think that's a pretty easy fix. I think you'll be glad you did that rather than put carpet on that.
Well, that solves a lot of questions of tiling, so, yeah.
And then, how's your staff now that you've shuffled folks around? Is that a benefit?
Yeah, no, it's a huge benefit. The biggest gain that we see is having my line techs having a window to the ramp. The second biggest is that the accountant now has a larger space to operate the 4 businesses that she's managing and doing the accounting for, and she can file everything away appropriately, and it's more comfortable. The biggest thing is having the line techs being able to see directly out onto the ramp. And I'm still trying to break myself of looking out the window, seeing an airplane and yelling at them. But they're already out there. It's efficiency-wise, we've gained, I don't know, 15% of me not getting up and walking around to talk to them. So
Good.
direct.
And then I noticed that you moved rental car parking to the other side. What about employee parking? Every time I go, it's full. Are
Yeah.
our employees parking outside of the main area there?
Yeah, every one of my employees are, except for my accountant who's handicapped, and that long distance is a little bit difficult for her. She's actually took a spill in the parking lot a couple of years ago, so she wants to be able to park in one of those 2 handicap spots. But other than that, yeah, all of my employees, I think all of your employees are already out there. And I think it looks better. It makes the parking lot look more full, but there's actually more spaces available in the main lot.
And the restaurant, they're all parking away from the front door as far as they can?
I actually haven't noticed. I know the food truck's over there, but I don't know if Manny's
I
gonna
saw
put his
the
truck over
food
there.
truck. Would you be comfortable in letting him know that?
Yeah.
We've asked them to do that. I'm happy to swing by and visit
No,
with
no
them too, but we need to open that up as much as we can.
I agree. Thinking about it, actually thought about it this morning, my crew cars, I've got 3 crew cars. I normally park them up front in that 2-hour spot. You care if I do that, or you want me to put them out in the main lot? I like them to be really quickly accessible. If I move them out to the main lot, there's a chance they end up kind of in the back,
So who goes to get them?
the customer usually.
Personally, I'd rather them be up front
Okay.
if it's a customer going to get them. If you don't have anybody on staff that can go get them, if
Yeah.
somebody on staff could go get them, I'd say move them out.
Okay, yeah, we rarely go get them, and being up front, it's a lot easier for the customers to find them, so great, perfect.
And then on the other side, I think we gave you 3 spaces over there. The other spaces I guess to the west of those, are those being utilized? or-
Those 3 spots, I haven't made any signs, so they're being utilized by the public right now. So as soon as I get signs, I'll put them up. I haven't had time to do anything for signage yet.
Commission have any questions for Daniel? What's the timeline on the conference room upstairs?
The conference room is basically done. I've got the new conference table, the TV's in, the credenzas in. It's all done except for chairs, which it's hard to find good quality chairs because what's in there now is durable, but it's bland and it doesn't match. So what we're finding in searching online is basically you're stuck with a $1,000 chair or a $50 chair. There's not really any good options in between. So I'm still on that hunt. I'm going to do it, but it's probably going to take me a little while. That's also not quite been one of my top priorities in the last couple of weeks, so I haven't put too much energy into it.
Outside of that room, I guess that's the furniture.
That's the furniture for the lounge, yes. Yeah, 4 theater seats, 85-inch TV, refrigerator, and then I've got all the other accessories are down in my office.
And your staff is comfortable in their spot that was made there?
Yep, everything's good, parking's good. In fact, I've even brought it up to some other individuals that were parking inside the fence, that if there's no reason that you need to be inside that fence, you need to be parking out in the main parking lot. And so, right now, the majority of everybody's listening to that, so.
Good. I mean, it's like anything, if they see other folks doing the right thing, then it helps them to do the right thing, and especially if you nudge them a little bit. Okay. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kate, do you have anything for us? Are you ready to proceed with what we just talked about a while ago now?
No. I don't think I have anything. We just have one past hanger that we're going to pursue a couple of months rent on. But as far as I know, that's all there is for me. And we know, well, you're probably going to discuss the building later. Okay.
Okay. Let's see, Laura, operations report.
I don't have a whole lot to report this month. Cameron asked to look at card readers again, so I've got one estimate back and still waiting on others. This one, the original estimate I got from them was in December of '21, and this estimate they just sent me it only went up about $500, so I was really surprised. And that would be 100 cards, and then I have to program them at the keypad, and then people would just be able to, I'm not sure, tap it or to get in the gate.
Hangar rent, we're good? I didn't notice anybody super late on anything.
No, like I mentioned in the past, is that some of those people wait until the last day. She was gonna send me an updated list at the end of the day of anybody that was still late. So I'll try to contact them tomorrow. And some people, I think, haven't gotten their amounts changed over for June with the price change.
Hey, Laura, do you have any information on how we're doing with the tower and counts coming in and out of the airspace there? Are we holding pretty strong? Are we setting more records? Or is that a James question?
Yeah, we're still, our numbers are crazy. They weren't as much last month because of the weather, but the other day I heard it was like 350 something just for the day. So if we keep doing that every day, we'll break records.
Is there any way to include those reports into our packet? I'm just, as we get more activity at that airport, that's the reason I was talking about the key cards, controlling people coming in and out of that airport, because, if we're continuing to see major growth in traffic on that airfield, that's just going to be more planes out there, and the problems we've seen with cars driving between running aircraft, that's a safety concern in my opinion. So I'd really like to see those numbers if we could in the future.
I can ask him. I don't know how he does his bookwork over there exactly, or how easy that might be for him to do, but I can ask him for sure for next time.
Or even if he could start working towards that, if he doesn't have anything for us immediately, if it's an easy thing for him to do.
Yeah, I think they have a spreadsheet. I just don't know how often he enters the data into it or what he does exactly with that, but he'll send me one at the end of the year. I've got the last couple of years to watch the growth. Has been crazy. People don't believe it. We had a tour of some school children a couple weeks ago, and one of the fathers had worked at Springdale, and I think he quit in 2013, went to XNA, and they were telling him, we were talking about how busy we are, and he was like, no, I don't believe it. And they were telling him the numbers for like the last few days, and he was just shocked, because it wasn't like that in 2013, apparently. I don't know.
That's cool. So, Mr. Kate, we've talked about this before, and I don't know who necessarily we need to address this to. Every month, I think, we see 4 or 5, 3 or 4 different folks that owe us money from years and years past. Can we not just strike those off the books?
I've requested that for quite a while. I don't know why it's still showing, but I will be happy to make the same request yet again.
It's not a huge deal, other than it just makes the hair on the back of my
I
neck.
agree. I completely agree, so.
She did change it, the title on it this year. It says out of hanger balance owed instead of so it's different than just the regular late ones. It used to be up top with all the.
Shouldn't even be on there, in my opinion.
No, they say it's something to do with the program they use, and it's hard for them to single certain things out and not. So.
And they are going to be changing programs. That's what I was going to say. So that might be part of it.
Okay. Any questions for Laura? All right, let's move on. James, with our activity report, please.
I don't have a lot to go. Like I said, I wasn't here. So according to Daniel, the weather was bad, so we're down 202 flights for operations. So other than that, everything else is going good.
I'm going to chime in here, I guess, with you on this, just to follow up. The painting of the stripes, the lines that we talked about last month, has that been done?
I haven't heard. So if Dave gave us a map yet, I haven't seen it
Daniel,
on where he wants them.
about the
Painting the
stripes?
lines?
Yeah, we,
You want
Daniel and
a
I,
grant?
yeah, we talked about waiting for some reason. I don't remember
The
what.
lines in front of the terminal to keep aircraft or vehicles from coming in between aircraft.
Yeah, we talked about waiting for some
I
reason,
cannot
but
remember
I don't
why.
remember what it
If
was
we
either.
knew weather was coming or something,
I don't remember anymore.
I'm not sure, or temperatures or something like that, but,
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the design how you want them, so.
okay. Yeah, I'll get that over to you this afternoon. Be easy.
Yeah, let's get that done.
And are we talking about just that one line or any other new lines?
We also talked about the aircraft that are tied down over there, maybe trying to tighten those up some to open up a little more
Oh, that's
space.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, all the tie-down areas need restriped. You can't even see them anymore.
Yeah, well, I'll get James my line that I need and then whatever else on top of that.
Perfect, thank you.
Practice exercise, James.
Where does that expense fall? Does that fall on whom to make the purchase and pay for the labor?
At Airport, Laura's taking care of that. I think that was our last conversation at least, wasn't it, last month?
Laura, is that in your budget?
When James shakes his head, then we're good.
It's covered.
Thank you, James. You're amazing. You're awesome.
Anything else, James, for us?
That's it.
Any questions for James? All right, let's move on to Greg with Carver.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me get this hooked up. All right. So, a couple of updates today. I'll just run through the three active projects briefly first, and then we'll dive into them. The runway rehabilitation grooving project, I'll just hop on, I'll discuss that one a lot later, as well as the FAA contract tower program. So let's just talk about the Powell hangar reconstruction. I've got a few pictures here that I can show you, but construction's still underway. Apron pavement is being constructed this week, and let's see, here we go. We are awaiting the delivery of the second hangar door. So you can see the hangar there on the right side. We've got the red dirt brought up, and so what they're planning on doing after this is bringing in about 8 inches of the aggregate base course, and then we'll put asphalt pavement on top. And so I expect that base course to be, I didn't drive by there today. I know you were there yesterday. Did you see any on site yet? Okay, so that's supposed to be this week, maybe early next week whenever we get that base in. I expect that to take about a week, and then asphalt pavement probably the week after. And so this apron's coming together very quickly. Here on the left-hand side, this is actually looking towards 412. 412 will be down here at the bottom. And this is the downstream end of our detention pond. So the detention pond is coming together. We finally got water moving through it now as well. There's some minor drainage work to finish up on the detention pond, as well as restoring it, seeding, sodding, that kind of thing. So that's where we're at with the project. And then finally, we're also waiting on the delivery of the second hangar door over here on the right. And they're waiting on that second door before they put up both doors. They'll put them together at the same time, and then they'll do electrical for the whole hangar, and that'll wrap up the hangar. Any questions about the Powell hangar project?
Were we not going to split that into two separate units? I thought that was
Yes.
part of a conversation.
So, okay, so you want to go ahead and put a wall between them as well, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Okay. Let me follow up with the contractor to see, okay, because we already had a wall, so they're just moving the existing wall. Yep, okay. Yep, I'll talk to them about getting that wall installed. I remember that conversation now. Any other questions? Thanks, Joel. Moving on to the next project is the runway rehabilitation project. This is the grooving project. Like we've discussed previously, 90-10 project, 90% from the FAA. The remaining 10% will come from the state, so it'll be no cost to the airport. This project advertised in the paper just before our last airport commission meeting. We had our bid opening about 2 weeks ago on June 11th. At that bid opening, bids did come in a little high. And I'll say high, maybe theoretically speaking. It was hard for us to estimate the night work associated with that project. Because all of it's taking place at night, we don't do a lot of estimating of runway closures that were like this project where we can keep the runway open. And so I think that's where we saw the biggest discrepancy in the price from what we expected. With that, we had to go back to the FAA and kind of come up with a funding plan on how we were going to pay for that additional cost. Luckily, Kathy Franklin, she's our FAA program manager, she was able to find the additional funding that we were looking for just in some surplus that they had in their program throughout the whole state. And so it will not be an issue to fund this project. Just think of it as the FAA kind of doing us a favor and knowing that Springdale is a busy airport and one of their priorities, so they're prioritizing Springdale by giving us some of that additional funding there. So I do have 3 items that I'd like to get approved. I'll run through them quickly and then we can kind of talk about them before you guys can actually vote on them. The first one, I want to get approval to accept the low bid of $994,000 down here in the bottom right.
Let's just take these one at a time.
Okay. So I guess first I'd like to get approval to accept the low bid on the project of $994,374. The low bidder was Emery Sapp and Sons.
And what was the price difference between apparent low bidder and next bidder?
It was about approximately $140,000.
How many bids did you have?
We had 2 bids, and they were actually very close. They were within $4,000 of each other.
Who was the second bidder?
The second bidder was Highlight Airfield Services. They're actually the ones that did the markings for the taxiway project. They're a marking subcontractor, but they paired up with another subcontractor to do the seal coat and then a third subcontractor to do the grooving. And so it was kind of a mixed group there.
I think we thought we might have one more bid from one of those that just partnered up.
Correct. So I was expecting 3 bids, but what ended up happening is the low bidder ended up recruiting Custom Pavement, which they're out of Van Buren. And that was who I had done most of my conversations with throughout the design of this project to determine if the night work was going to be adequate and if they had enough time, that kind of thing. So Custom Pavement was not the low bidder, but they're a subcontractor to who the low bidder is on this one. I know that kind of got off topic, but if I didn't answer any of those questions, I can keep talking.
Question about the work of Emery Sapp. Is it mostly subcontract work or are they self-performing any of the work?
So Emery Sapp will be self-performing the construction, so the construction safety and security item there at the top. And what that is bringing out the barricades, installing the runway closure markers, and then doing that at the beginning and end of every night closure.
So the rest of all those bid items are subcontract work?
Say that again?
So the rest of all those bid items are subcontract work?
Yes, that's my understanding from the breakdown that we've got from them so far. The markings and the crack repair will be Custom Pavement out of Van Buren. The grooving, I think it's Cardinal Grooving. I think they're out of like Iowa. But there's really only 2 companies who do runway grooving at this speed. And so it was one of those companies.
And you're comfortable with all the subcontractors?
Yes, yeah, this is how I expected this project to go. Really, there's only a few grooving contractors that do it. The asphalt surface treatment, the seal coat that we're doing is a FAA-specific mix that, once again, I think there's 3 or 4 in this area that'll do it. And that's just because it's a very specialized FAA fast curing seal coat treatment. And so custom pavement will typically do our seal coats. I'm sure the city's done seal coat projects with them quite a bit, but they're not qualified to do the specific FAA P608R, which is their rapid cure mix. So yes, I'm comfortable with all the subcontractors on this one.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of $994,374.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
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 All right, motion passes.
All right. Item number 2, Garver was contracted to do the design for this project. In our original design contract, I didn't include any of the construction phase services just because we didn't know how much everything was going to cost or how much night work or day work we're going to end up doing. And so I'm coming back to you with our contract or a request to amend the original contract to add in construction phase services. So this will be having a construction observer, one of Garver's construction observers there full-time to make sure the runway closes and opens, doing a FOD check before to make sure there's no material left on the runway that'll get sucked into an engine. And then also, that'll also include grant administration, so we'll apply for and close out the FAA grants, as well as construction administration, which is what we will do, which is coordinating with the contractor, approving submittals, executing contract documents, things of that nature. And so Garver's construction phase services contract is $85,000.
And that's all included in the
Yes.
90 and the 10 combined.
Yes, yep, that will be completely covered by the FAA grant, and they review these contracts as well. And so, sorry, I'd like to get approval to execute Garver's construction phase services contract.
I'll make that motion to execute Garver's construction services contract for $85,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Olmer,
Yes.
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 Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Item number 3, this one's an easy one. This is just requesting approval to submit a grant application to the FAA. I'll work with Greg and James to get all the documents signed and executed by the mayor so that we can get this money from the FAA. So I'd like to request approval to submit the grant application to the FAA.
I'll make the motion to approve the grant application through Garver to the FAA.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you for all of those approvals. So where we're at now is we'll get the grant application submitted by the end of this month. The FAA will have probably 30 to 60 days to process the application and notify the airport that they'll receive the funds. Once we get that notification, we can go to the contractor, execute a contract, and start construction. So right now, I'm estimating start of construction at about that August, September timeframe. Any questions about the runway rehab project before I move on? Awesome. The next project is the contract tower program, or the tower rehab project. Like we talked about, this is a $380,000 grant. It'll be 100% FAA funded. At the last meeting, the commission approved Garver to design this rehabilitation. Since the last meeting, we've advertised that project for bid, had a couple conversations with the contractor who's actually working on the tower right now. And so project's advertising the paper. We're going to open bids on June 25th. However, I did mention previously it's a compressed schedule. The FAA is requiring that we have a grant application submitted by July 1st. And so what I'd like to get the commission's approval from today is once we do open bids to give Greg or James the authority to accept the low bid and move forward with submitting a grant application. So the same approvals that I just got on the runway rehab project, I just need to get on, or I need you to give authority to Greg and James so that we don't have to come back to the commission at next month's meeting.
So when are you planning on opening bids?
Bids will be opened on June 25th, so next Thursday or Tuesday, I think.
In my understanding, you're asking the chairman to approve the award of the bids?
Yes, sir. I'm asking the commission to give the chairman the authority to approve those, yes, sir. Because the FAA needs the grant application by July 1st. I won't be able to come back to the commission to approve those bids in time to be able to get that grant application.
Well, I would make a motion that once the bids are open and presented to the chairman of the Airport Commission, that he have the authorization to approve the responsive apparent low bidder.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
That was the 4 approvals that I needed, so thank you for your patience and bearing with me on those. Any other questions about the tower project, the runway rehab project, or the PAL hangar?
Do have a question.
sir.
Not about those. A few months back, we talked about possible grant money for terminal rehabilitation. Did you ever do any research on that? Or terminal improvements or anything like?
Yes, so there is grant money available every November starting, associated with a lot of the COVID relief money that the FAA was authorizing. So in 2022, they authorized a 5-year program called the ATP, Airport Terminal Program. It's $5 billion each year, I believe, going nationwide. A lot of that will end up going to your commercial service airports. So XNA and Little Rock eat up a lot of it here, but eventually it does trickle down to general aviation. And so that application for the airport terminal program is typically every November. And so we can put together an application in November if that's something that the commission is interested in. We will have to come up with a more detailed plan. I know, Cameron, you have something specific in mind, but.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, and then potentially bring it to the commission.
Is that what we want to do? Cameron and I can discuss, and we'll come up with a plan, propose it, discuss, revise, have that ready by November.
I've got some ideas too
Okay.
for the terminal, so we can all brainstorm on that.
Absolutely. I can get
Separately,
started
of
on that.
course.
Yeah, separately, of course, yeah.
Any other?
Or I would say if you want to get everybody together in the same room, we call a meeting that is all about just a planning design, and we hold it at the terminal and lunch.
Yeah,
Like your way of
we
thinking.
could definitely do that. I like the way you think.
Anything else for Greg? Are you done, Greg? Do you have more to discuss with us?
I don't believe I have anything else unless there's something you and I talked about.
No, there's a few things, but I'll bring them up, and if we need you, we'll holler back at you.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a few things I wanted to talk about. First of all, and this has not been approved, the mayor has chosen the next airport commissioner, and it goes to city council. I don't know when they meet. Next week? Tuesday. So we'll probably have a new council member effective next Tuesday. He is local, a pilot, so I don't know that I want to throw his name out until he gets approved, but anyway, good guy. Just as, to keep you up to date, I guess, the PAL hangar, so picture where our PAL hangar is now, we potentially have 3 new hangars going in to the west of that. 100 by 100, 100 by 100, and what's the patent? 60 by 120. That'll all go the next 3 up to the fence. So those are not locked in, but I would say they're about as close to locked in as they can be. We met last week and approved some things and sent them away to make some changes and come back, but they're all on board to make those changes and come back to get them started. So within a couple of months, we should have word that we're going to have 3 more hangars going in on the west side, with the potential of 1 more if we can find a good spot for it, a 60 by 70. So growing, growing, growing. I don't know how much we've talked in here. I've talked to so many people at so many different times about the ATCO building. We talked a little bit last month, I believe. Week after next, we're going to meet again with the Air National Guard and visit with them about them coming here. You can attest to this, I'm sure. They don't move fast, but they are moving faster than I initially anticipated them to move. I think they've narrowed it down to a couple of airports, with us being one of the 2. So we've got a plan together that when we're going to meet with them, I actually wrote something up, and I would ask of the commissioners that are here to read this and sign it, if you please, and we're going to pass that on to them, just letting them know that we would certainly be behind them moving here and taking up residence with us. There are other things that potentially we can do with that ATCO building if that doesn't pan out. As Daniel said earlier, we're looking for places to put big jets. So there are opportunities, other things besides that too. Mechanics school, there's different things that we can use that space for. But I would certainly love for the National Guard to go there. So I just kind of wanted to catch you guys up on what I know as of now. We may know more here in a couple of weeks. They ask us to meet with them every month or 2 to continue the communication. So that's where we are. If anything changes, I'll let you know. But as of now, I feel comfortable with where we are with them.
Also, Ernest said that the Atco Rubber Building is going to be on the agenda for Tuesday night.
Yeah, there was a bit of a change in that. I don't know enough about it to talk on it, quite honestly, but so the council approved buying the Atco building, I believe last month. Well, someone else made an offer. And so I think there's a counter, but basically at the end of the day, it's around the same dollars as what it was before with some stipulations. So they're going back to council for approval Tuesday, I guess. So if that passes, then we'll be back to where we were last month, I guess.
So has there been any environmental done on that building? Do we know what that building's got in it, got around it, got under it?
I don't think anything other than they just walked through it.
There was a meeting I was in last week, and that question was asked. I don't remember if it was Ernest. There was someone that said there was a little bit of work done in that regard, and that, to their knowledge, there was no concerns. Greg, were you in that meeting with me? I can't remember where I was. I've been too many of those recently. But good question, and that is on the docket of questions to be asked, for sure.
Well, my only concern with that is if the city does buy it and we take it over, are we going to be responsible for any mitigation?
We, meaning the city?
We, meaning the airport?
No. No. And there's other things in the works with that too, that the city might not be on the hook for quite as much, so we'll just see how everything plays out. And then lastly, I hope you're not upset by this, we are not going to meet next month, so take your vacations next month. We got everything done today that Greg needed, so we don't have to meet next month for any approvals. So if anyone has anything that they'd like to discuss now and that doesn't need to wait 2 months, now's your time.
I would only say lunch.
I will be out of town, so if you guys want to. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the time frame of the commission meeting.
I would say don't meet. If we don't need to meet, don't meet.
I think we've got everything covered that we need to. 1 month's not going to hurt us any. But you guys are free, to if you want to have lunch and kick that idea around, that's something we definitely need to talk about. So that was all my old business. Any old business from any commissioners? Comments from commissioners? Thanks, everyone. We adjourned.